capital. And I must tell you, we have quite a lot to unpack, tensions everywhere, but we hope that we do justice to what we have on the table today.
Yeah, good morning, Riyadh. And it's quite like she said, a rainy Tuesday morning. And I think I like the weather. A lot of people here at Abuja will like the weather.
Well, we all witnessed on social media what happened yesterday. I would like to know what you're talking about. I'm talking about Quam 2.
Phase 2.
That's what people are referring to. But it's actually, not really a funny matter because, I believe that with everything that happened, nobody really knows the backstory.
Exactly.
But I believe that things could have been managed properly.
From both ends.
From both ends. I'm talking about for the lady now. I don't know what really happened that would have triggered her to that level, but I believe that is where emotional intelligence comes in. We as human beings should learn to manage our emotions, no matter how we are being pushed. We shouldn't get to the level of being physical with another person because you don't know to what level, your anger might push you and you might also inflict harm on the other person. And as for the airline, they should have managed it better, treating her like that, dragging her to the point that, her clothes comes off and everything. And, you now still took that video and it's now all over the social media. I don't think it was managed well. Each side of the divide, they could have played a better, how would I put it now? They would have behaved better and managed the situation better.
Yeah, for me, I just want to sum up my opinion in this way. She didn't manage the whole thing well. She did very wrong in that altercation with airline officials. She shouldn't have done that. If she had the opportunity to watch that video, I guess she's going to regret a lot of her actions.
Of course.
Then the other side also, the airline. Now, I know that in every airport, you have police personnel, you have the DSS personnel stationed at every airport. It is within the control of the airport, the pilots, to have phoned the control and inform them that we have an unruly passenger. Nigeria is not in isolation. We live in an international community. We know how it's done. And the policemen or the DSS will just come in and take charge of the situation, not airline operators dragging a citizen out like that.
And also this
so
raises
it's
questions
an indictment on our security personnel. That what were they doing at the airport?
It also raises questions about what level of training do these flight crew attendants get? And do they also sensitize their passengers on what is expected of them? Because it goes both ways. If the right sensitization is being put forward, we won't witness situations like this.
And just before we go to what we have today, I like the swiftness of the airline operators. I like the swiftness of the FCA. I like the swiftness of the NCAA. I also hope that also when airlines disrespect their passengers and cancel flights, they will also be swift to come in and sanction these airlines that keep cancelling flights of passengers. Now, let's give you what we have for you today. Now, thank you, everyone, for joining us on this segment of TVC Breakfast Show. And this is FCT Brief. Now, the political atmosphere in Delta North has grown increasingly charged with recent weeks, following reports that a section of the APC leadership has thrown its weight behind a preferred candidate for the 2027 elections. While supporters of the endorsement describe it as a strategic move to consolidate the party's position ahead of time, critics within the fold see it as undemocratic and capable of deepening divisions in the party. Several stakeholders have voiced concerns, warning that imposing a candidate without wider consultations could alienate grassroots members and jeopardize the party's electoral chances.
Political analysts say the unfolding drama reflects the broader trend of early political maneuvering across Nigeria, where endorsements often seen as a show of unity can also trigger bitter rivalries. The APC at the state level is yet to issue an official statement on the matter, but sources close to the party leadership hint that behind-the-scenes talks are ongoing to prevent the row from escalating further. With less than 2 years to the polls, Delta North remains a hotbed of political activity. Whether the APC can resolve its internal disagreements and present a united front will be a key determinant in its performance come 2027. Michael Nwoko is the Chief of Staff to Senator Ned Nwoko, and he's live here with us in the studio. It's good to have you this morning.
Thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome.
It's always a pleasure to be here.
Well, let's start with what happened at that meeting, which is currently stirring a lot of controversy now. After the
June
APC
14.
stakeholders session in Delta North, we've seen rejoinders, we've seen counterclaims and all kinds of political pushback and fought over, the endorsement of Senator Ned Nwoko. You were there. Tell us what exactly transpired behind those closed doors.
Thank you so much for that beautiful question. You see, the June 14 gathering of the leadership of the party, as well as party faithfuls, etc., really was a historic one in the sense that, it witnessed unprecedented gathering of party faithfuls and supporters. We've never seen it like that before. We're talking about over 5,000 members of the party from different parts of the senatorial district. And they cut across the 9 local government areas and the 98 wards that make up the senatorial district. And looking at the leadership cadre, we equally had the state chairman of the party, who was physically present, the senatorial chairman, the LGA local government chairman, 9 of them. And of course, the ward chairman. They were all seated there, alongside with other leaders, a host of leaders, from the party. And during the course of the meeting, most of these things I can tell you, that they were not stereotyped, because I was there and I witnessed it live. Okay? And so, during the course of the meeting, it became imperative that considering the sterling qualities and performance of Mr. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR, President Commander of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, President Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, that there was need to endorse him for a second tenure. And so the endorsement followed that pattern. First was the endorsement of Mr. President, and then the endorsement of His Excellency the Governor followed, and then the endorsement of the distinguished senator representing the good people of Delta North Senatorial District also followed. And in fact, Right Honorable Nicholas Osai, a 3-time member of the House of Reps from Nwoko West Local Government Area, was the one who moved the motion, for the vote of confidence on the distinguished senator. Then, of course, the president, the governor, and distinguished senator. And of course, he was seconded. Yes, he was on the high table. And then a seconder came, from the general.
So was this carried under one vote of confidence on the senator, on the governor, and also the president, governor, and then the distinguished senator. And so there was a seconder from the floor, as against, speculation, but just a few that the whole thing was orchestrated at the high table. That the moment there was a seconder, it now followed a voice vote from the general audience. A voice vote, and it was yes in the affirmative. There were no dissenting voices.
Okay, let me just come in with this. Now, this meeting held where? Who's at what venue?
Precisely. Good. Now,
just a brief question, because there's a follow-up question I want to quickly follow up. Just quickly.
Thank you. Just quickly to respond to you. Okay. The venue was at Idumujiboko. That is the country home of the single senator Nwoko.
Okay.
He offered a venue to host the meeting, while the meeting was conveyed by the senatorial chairman, who has a constitutional mandate and power to convene the senatorial meeting. But only leader can offer to host.
Sorry, my question is, now at that meeting, the president was endorsed.
Precisely.
And the governor was endorsed.
Precisely.
Your colleague that was here also yesterday talked about the fact that the president has a tenure and the governor has a tenure. We know that lawmakers don't have a tenure. Now, in the senatorial district, there are also House of Rep members in that senatorial district. Was there also an endorsement of House of Rep members, or it was just an isolation of the senator that should be endorsed, and the House of Rep members were not endorsed?
Thank you for that question. Yeah, the endorsement didn't capture the House of Rep members.
Why?
Though they were present. But it wasn't, it's still, like I said, everything that happened that day were not stereotyped. Are you getting me? What happened was an endorsement of Mr. President, His Excellency the Governor, and the distinguished senator. It was a senatorial meeting, mind you, involving the 9 local government areas. It was not a federal constituency meeting. The House of Rep members are representing their constituents at the federal constituency level, not at the senatorial level. But this meeting was at the senatorial level of the party, and it involves the 9 local government areas that make up the senatorial district and the 98 wards. So you can't be discussing the federal constituency, because ideally there are 3 federal constituencies that make up Delta North Senatorial District. Sorry. Are you getting? Anyosho Shimele, Ika, then of course Ndokwa Ukwani Federal Constituency. But this meeting was not at the level of the federal constituency, but at the level of the senatorial district, of the state.
All right, we'll still discuss more on that, but that will be right after the short break. Don't go anywhere. We still have more for you on the program. Stay with us. We'll be right back. We're glad to have you back. You're still watching FCT Brief, and we're still discussing the endorsement rule in Delta North senatorial district. And we still have with us in the studio the Chief of Staff to Senator Ned Nwoko, Michael Nwoko. Now, before we went on the break, you mentioned that this endorsement was jointly bestowed on the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, the Governor, and also the Senator. And you also mentioned that, you know, House of Reps members were left out of this endorsement. Now, I would like to ask, why is there so much pushback from other quarters saying that it was not an endorsement? Perhaps it was a suggestion, or, you know, he was not part of that endorsement. Why are we having so much pushback? And again, whose interests does this serve?
Thank you so much for that question. Suffice to state that, yeah, I watched the program of yesterday, and really, I was puzzled at some of the presentations made by a local government chairman, because on that meeting on June 14, he was in the meeting. He did not even come alone. He came with a team of his ward chairman, and of course, you know, other members of the party from his own local government area. He was part of the meeting. And during the course of this endorsement, I would also like to state without fear of contradiction, because the records are there, the videos, etc. You will see them. You see, there were no dissenting voices. And so if anyone actually had objection, are you getting, to that endorsement, he would have spoken out, because there was a voice vote put out to the general audience, and it was yes in the affirmative. No dissenting voices. How can you now come back after a few days to issue a statement that you were not part of the endorsement? It raises a lot of questions, a fundamental question for that matter. And this question is, why the desperation? And why the sudden fight? You understand what I'm talking? You see, this, when you look at the political kaleidoscope, some certain things happen. And when these things happen, you begin to ask some questions, etc. You were in the meeting, no dissenting voices. That is to say that a lot could have happened. You see, before this endorsement, considerations were made. The speakers who made presentations made it very clear, abundantly clear, that the reason for this endorsement is not unconnected with the sterling qualities and performance of these officers. Mr. President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, His Excellency the Governor, and the distinguished Senator who actually offered to host the meeting, because the meeting was at the senatorial level. You can imagine within a period of 2 years, the distinguished Senator, Senator Prince Ned Nwoko, can be credited to about 31 bills and 20 motions, all of which are of strategic national importance. And of course, with a barrage of people-oriented projects across the senatorial district, for which people are saying that you have performed excellently well. And on this note, we are endorsing you. We are in support of what we are doing. We're endorsing you for a second tenure. It is not out of place, because it's all about the people. You just ask, whose interest does this endorsement serve? It is all about the interest of the people. Like I said, these endorsements were not stereotyped. They were not premeditated. It happened during the course of the meeting, and the people actually spoke. Democracy is all about the people. Government of the people, for the people, and by the people. It's all about the people. And that is what the distinguished senator represents. That is what Mr. President represents. Okay.
Because it has turned into a factional issue now in Delta North. Some group feels that if this was properly managed, like she asked, that of whose interest? If you say the interest of the people, why do we have this pushback? What's the big deal about endorsement? Does endorsement really win an election? Why are we so fixated about endorsement? Now, if there is a meeting of the APC in the states, everybody in the state will be involved. Now, you rightly said that the House of Rep members, 3 federal constituencies in the senatorial districts, and if they were there, wouldn't it have been proper if, according to the group, if you had stopped at just endorsing Mr. President and the governor? Now, if you're going to include the lawmakers, every other lawmaker also want to run in an election in 2027. So why would they be there? You are not endorsing. You say senatorial district. Senatorial district is the makeup of federal constituencies. So why?
It's the 3 federal constituency makeup.
So why were they excluded?
Yeah, no, it's not saying they were excluded. Let's get something very right. You see, like I said, it is the senatorial chairman of the party that has the constitutional mandate to convene a senatorial meeting. And so the meeting was properly convened, okay? Or distinguished Senator President Nwoko, being the senator representing the area, offered to host. Are you getting me? Now, every leader of the party in the senatorial district really was invited for that meeting. Every one of them was invited. But Some choose not to attend. For some certain reasons, I wouldn't know why they choose not to attend. 3 federal constituencies, yes, we had, one of them in attendance, etc. The state chairman was there, even though he's not from the senatorial district, but he attended the meeting. And of course, that, would give you a clue as to the fact that the meeting was properly conveyed. If the meeting was not properly conveyed, the state chairman would not be there. The senatorial chairman that had the constitutional mandate to convey meeting would not be there. He would not preside over the meeting. It's not as if the distinguished senator presided over the meeting. No, because it was a party meeting. You see, the democratic structure and the constitution of the party have made it very easy for different layers of leadership of the party to perform their functions without interference. These functions are not overlapping. Okay? And so there is need for proper synergy. Everyone must understand their function and play their role accordingly without, undue interference, without undue influence, etc. It's unfortunate that what we are seeing today, yes, in Delta, or Delta North per se, because we are discussing Delta North now, what we are seeing here today really is very unfortunate in the sense that a few persons will choose to sever themselves from such a meeting where you have unprecedented gathering of party faithfuls and supporters, that even a meeting you choose not to attend, those that you are meant to lead were in attendance. Does that point to the fact that should at least point to the fact that it is the generality of membership of the party in the senatorial district who were in support of that meeting? And even if you had severed yourself from the meeting and you tried to influence them not to attend, they defy your instruction and they attended because they believe that the meeting was properly convened and they need to show support for the party.
I'd like to ask you, because this has generated a lot of noise and controversy like we've mentioned earlier. What is behind this controversy and who are these political forces that are behind this controversy? Would you say that there are some political, figures that are not really comfortable with the entrance of Senator Nwoko into the APC, and that is why, we are seeing what is happening at the moment?
Not really, because, you see, distinguished Senator Prince Ned Nwoko came into the party in February. The governor came in with his followers in April, 28th of April to be precise, and that includes the deputy governor, etc. Now, in Delta North, in Delta generally, you have the ODPC, those who have been there, and those who are just coming in, etc. And of course, the moment they came in on the 28th of April, it underscored the need for proper synergy so that the party can be effectively strengthened for proper cohesion, etc. But even though I know that, yes, issues will be resolved, but I think we have reached a threshold whereby we need to address these issues. Let's know what the issues really are. We need to sit down. And I think that the national leadership of the party could get involved in this arena to mediate, to ensure that all the critical stakeholders involving the different layers of leadership, but at the state, local government, and ward levels, then the ODPC and the new APC, if you like, we need to sit down and discuss and chart a course for the party. It's really very important because, see, the APC has been strategically positioned to be able to win an election at all levels. And so we shouldn't do things that can put the party in a precarious situation from winning elections. This is very, very important. I can't understand the reason why you choose to sever yourself from such an important meeting, perhaps because you don't like the face of distinguished Senator Prince Ned Nwoko, who is the host. No, it's all about the party. It's all about the interests of the party. And when it comes to party affairs, you put all other interests aside. And then you dwell on the interests of the party itself, because no one is bigger than the party. No one truly is bigger. If you are invited to attend a party meeting as a party member, a genuine party member for that matter, it's expected that you attend, no matter your status.
Some people that actually missed out on this meeting, the reasons that they gave is the fact that they needed time because they just moved into the party with the governor of Owerri, and they needed time, to organize themselves before, coming for or that kind of meeting being organized. Now, I would like to ask, what was the haste about in, carrying out this endorsement? If there's a section of people that say, okay, give us time before we organize, this kind of meeting so that everybody can be on the same page. Why not hastily go out, leave some people behind, and make such endorsements?
Now, let me give you a bit of semantics. Really, there's no haste in calling about meetings. And like I said, the endorsement was not premeditated. Neither was it stereotyped. It just happened because, with the unprecedented gathering, the people really elucidated on the sterling qualities and performance of these officers, the president, the governor, and the distinguished senator, and it happened. But now, there's been periodic meetings of the party at the senatorial district level, right from January, February, February, March. The first one was hosted, that's in this year, 2025. First one was hosted in Agbo at the residence of one of the leaders, Chief Mrs. Doris Obo. And so the meeting for, March was hosted, by one of the leaders, Chief Johnson Opone in Kwale. So the party had agreed in principle to hold periodic meetings. So these periodic meetings is what helps to really, call for party cohesion, proper synergy, etc. So it's been on and on. Now, listen, the meeting that was hosted in Agbo was a meeting hosted by Eka Federal Constituency. The meeting hosted in Kwale was a meeting hosted by Ndokwa Kwani Federal Constituency. Now, the meeting for June 14 was a turn of, Anyosho Shimli Federal Constituency, which is the 3 federal constituencies that make up the senatorial district. Now it was convened. Each of these meetings, each one of these meetings were convened by the senatorial chairman of the party, who has the constitutional mandate to convene such meeting. Now, this one that was hosted by the distinguished senator, so it's really not new, because the one for Agbo hosted by one of the leaders, the one for Kwale hosted by one of the leaders. Then this was the turn of Anyosho Shimli, also hosted by one of the leaders in the senatorial district. Who is the distinguished senator? Let me land. It's been periodic meetings, etc. Now, the governor and his team moved into the party on the 28th of April, to be precise. Now, at that time, when they came in, plans had been on the ground to hold this 3rd meeting, that is for Anyosha Oshimli Federal Constituency, that was hosted by the distinguished senator on the 14th of June. If you watch, there was a long notice, over a month. The notice for that meeting was issued over a month before it was hosted.
Mr. Nwoko, just take this.
Yes.
Now, there was a long notice.
Precisely.
You had new journals. Because part of the argument pushed out yesterday was that there are new people who came into the party.
Precisely.
Even if you have a long notice and new people came into the party, was it not normal to allow these organizers to be part of it? And also, the incumbent, the deputy governor now, is from the same senatorial district.
Precisely.
The former governor, Okowa, is from the same senatorial district.
Precisely. They were all invited for the meeting.
They were all invited. Were they part of that meeting? Were they part of this meeting?
They didn't attend. That's why I said they didn't attend the meeting, but they were duly invited for the meetings. The distinguished senator, apart from the fact that the senatorial chairman himself extended invite to them for the meeting, distinguished senator also extended invite.
Did you receive a response from them?
But they choose not to attend. Now, even in spite of the
They choose not to attend, or they put forward. Did they put forward their reason for not attending? Did they tender their reasons for not attending?
Well, I don't have details as to that effect. But the point is that what I can tell you is that they were all invited for the meeting, and they were given sufficient notice to have made proper plans for the meeting, etc. Are you getting that? Talking about hasty endorsements, etc., and all that. I can also tell you that in July, another meeting was also held. That's a month, about a month after the June 14 meeting. Another meeting was also held, where some of these persons were in attendance. So how can you say that the meeting of June 14 was done hastily? Are you getting? And therefore not giving time to those who just came in, to gain traction and settle sufficiently to be able to attend the meeting. There was also another meeting in July. You see, let us be very careful here. Let us not allow personal sentiments, primordial interests, to affect our conduct or the decision we take as it affects the party. But I can tell you that, unfortunately, yes, APC is strategically positioned to win elections. Issues will be resolved, no doubt, because the party has a wonderful and a unique internal mechanism with which to resolve issues. But the reason why we're here is to set the record straight, not to further heat up the polity. Just to set the record straight, just to let you understand that there was an endorsement, and that endorsement enjoyed preponderance of members of the party in the senatorial district.
There's also a pushback that I did not enjoy. So we must also note that.
I agree with you, but you see, issues will be resolved. But again, what I can also tell you is that it's quite unfortunate that even in spite of the fact that the party is really strategically positioned to win elections, all the ideals of the party manifesto, they are all unique and uncommon. to the people of Nigeria. And that's the reason why Mr. President is taking this country to a state of El Dorado. And that's why he's enjoying this effective collaboration with all other layers, of the democracy structure, which includes the senators, governors, etc., and all that. That is the reason why we must ensure that in our decision, as it affects the affairs of the party, we must put personal interests away. We must shun primordial interests and focus on the interest of the party. What are we dragging for? What is it? There's really nothing personal. It's about the party. It's not about the individual. That meeting was beyond distinguished Senator President Nwoko. It's about the APC. It's about ensuring that the party is effectively strengthened so the party is not put in a precarious situation from winning future elections. And so no matter what it is, these issues can be resolved. Because I don't see these problems, as problems that are beyond solution. Solution will come, no doubt. But again, we must be very careful.
All right.
So I will advise that I believe that at this point in time, we have reached a threshold whereby there is need for proper synergy. There is a need for a meeting point between all the layers of leadership of the party, both at the state, at the local government, and world level. We must sit down and chart a course for the party and avoid all this selfish and personal thing. Now, what is happening, unfortunately, is likened to the mentality of the PDP. We don't want it in APC. We want a new beginning for the party. We want everybody to come on board so that we can.
It's a fine place to leave the conversation this morning. We must say thank you so much for joining us on the program and also bringing clarity from your own perspective on this issue. Thank you so much.
Finally, I'd like to thank all the leaders of the party who have labored so hard towards ensuring that the party is strategically positioned to win an election. Because if the party is not made lucrative and strong enough, others will not come. But like the president said during the last week meeting, that the door is still open for more members to come.
So don't use our platform to campaign. Thank you so much for your time with us on the program. Well, that's where we'll leave the conversation this morning. We'll now hand you over to our Lagos studio where Ria and the rest of the team are standing by to continue with the rest of the show.
All right. Thank you so much.